plate was still there. Empty now, but still there. Shadow didn't understand why the man left it. He didn't trust it. Not yet. But something had changed. The day before, Grayson had tried to chase him off. The usual yelling, the harsh words. But his eyes, they looked different. Like he was tired of being angry. And Shadow, he was tired of running. He'd spent years hiding, living behind dumpsters and under old cars. The cold didn't scare him anymore. Hunger did. Loneliness did. That alley was just another stop. Until it wasn't. The first time Grayson saw him, he'd thrown a bottle. You again? It shattered near Shadow's paw. The cat didn't run. He just stared, quiet. Like he'd seen worse. Grayson blinked. What kind of cat just stands there? He muttered. Shadow blinked back. Maybe that was the first moment. The crack in the wall. After that, it became routine. Grayson yelling, Shadow staring, bottles thrown, cans kicked. But Shadow always came back. He had nowhere else. And oddly, Grayson didn't try as hard to make him leave. One night, rain poured, down hard. Thunder rolled over the rooftops. Shadow was soaked, hiding behind the dumpster. Cold, shivering, Grayson came out with the trash, saw him, and stopped. You're still here? His voice wasn't sharp this time. Just tired. Shadow didn't move. Their eyes met again. Something passed between them. A silence that wasn't empty. Grayson sighed and dropped the trash. He walked back inside without a word. The next morning, that plate was there. It wasn't much. Just cheap cat food, soggy from the rain. But Shadow ate it, slowly, watching the house. The back door stayed shut. No yelling. That's when something changed. Shadow stopped running. Grayson stopped chasing. They just existed, together, but apart. Days passed. Then a week. Grayson still scowled, still muttered things under his breath. But he left food. Sometimes it was scraps, sometimes dry food. Shadow stopped hiding behind the dumpster. He sat closer now, near the back. Steps. One afternoon, Grayson opened the door and sat on the steps with a mug in hand. He stared out at the alley, eyes distant. Shadow lay nearby, watching. You're not scared of me, Grayson mumbled. Everyone else is. Shadow blinked. Grayson took a sip. I guess that makes you stupid. Or brave. The cat didn't move. Didn't run. He just stayed. Grayson looked at him. You remind me of someone, he said softly. Too quiet. Too sad. Shadow stretched out, his bones sticking through his thin fur. Grayson didn't throw anything. Didn't yell. The wind rustled through old wrappers and leaves. But the alley felt still. Later that night, Grayson stood by the window, watching Shadow curl up near the door. He sighed and whispered, Why won't you leave? He didn't expect an answer. Shadow didn't leave. Not that night, not the next. He started showing up in the mornings, waiting by the steps. Quiet, still, watching. And Grayson. He started talking. Not full conversations, just bits. I used to have a cat. Her name was Maddie. Shadow tilted his head. She died, Grayson said. A long time ago. Not that you care. But maybe he did. Because every time Grayson sat, on the steps, Shadow sat a little closer. One morning, Grayson opened the door and found Shadow already there. Sitting. Waiting. He sighed, crouched down, and whispered, Fine. One pat. That's it. His hand hovered, shaky, unsure. Shadow leaned forward, nudged it gently. Grayson froze. Then slowly, he placed his hand on the cat's head. It wasn't much. Just a second. But it was enough. Stupid cat. He muttered. You're gonna make me soft. Shadow purred. Low and rough. A sound that hadn't come out of him in years. And for the first time in a long time, Grayson smiled. Just a little. But it was a start. And Shadow, the cat no one saw, finally felt seen. The scar on Grayson's arm burned again. It had started as a thin line, barely noticeable. But now, red, swollen, angry, like something beneath his skin was clawing its way out. He stared at it under the bathroom light, his fingers trembling. Shadow hadn't touched him that day. He remembered clearly. The cat just sat there, watching, silent, still. But the scratches kept coming. Each morning, new marks. On his arms, his neck, even across his back. "You doing it in your sleep?" He asked the mirror, but he didn't believe it. Because every night, like clockwork, he heard it. The cry. Low, long. A sound soaked in sorrow. It came from outside. But when he opened the door, nothing. No shadow. No footprints. Just the sound of wind in the alley. The first night it happened, he thought maybe the cat was just lonely, maybe waiting for food. But Shadow hadn't shown up in 3 days. Not once since Grayson touched his head and whispered, "Stupid cat." Now there were only the cries. And the pain. The neighborhood started noticing. Old Mrs. Hallie, who watered her roses every morning, looked up one day and said, "That thing still hanging around?" Grayson shook his head. "Nope. Haven't seen him." She stared at his bandaged wrist. "You sure?" He walked away without answering. By the 5th day, Grayson stopped sleeping. The cries came every night now. Louder, closer. They echoed through the house, even when the windows were shut. He tried blasting the TV, tried music, even sat in his old truck in the driveway just to escape the sound. Didn't help. The scratch on his neck stung every time he turned his head. Like it was warning him. "Shadow," he whispered into the darkness. "What do you want?" The wind answered, but the cat never came. Then came the 6th night. He left a plate outside again. Same food, same spot. But it stayed untouched. The moon was bright. The alley lit up in pale silver. Still no cat. Grayson leaned against the wall. Exhausted. "Where are you?" he said. "I didn't mean it." Whatever it was. No answer. He sat down on the steps, staring at the plate. The silence felt thicker now, heavy. Then he saw them, eyes, in the shadows. 2 golden green eyes watching from behind the dumpster. "Shadow." "Hey," Grayson said, standing up slowly. "There you are. Thought you were gone." No movement, no meow. Just eyes. He took a step forward, another. But when he reached the dumpster, gone. No, paw prints. No tail slipping around the corner. Just silence. And then the burning hit. He fell back, grabbing his arm. Blood seeped through his sleeve. 3 long claw marks, fresh, red, deep. He shouted in pain, "What the hell is this?" Inside, he scrubbed the wound. But the blood wouldn't stop. The marks didn't look like his cat's. They were too wide, too deep. He pressed a towel against it, hands shaking. The pain pulsed like a heartbeat. The next morning, he went to the clinic, told the nurse he tripped into barbed wire. She gave him a look. "You need to be careful," she said. "This is infection level bad." He nodded and left. Didn't say another word. That night, Shadow didn't show. No eyes. No cry. Just silence. But it wasn't better. It was worse. Because now, the house groaned. Doors creaked open by themselves. Shadows moved when they shouldn't. Grayson sat in the kitchen, hands clenched. "I'm going crazy," he muttered. "This is all in my head." He looked at the back door. It stood half open. He didn't remember opening it. The porch light flickered. Then, he heard it. Closer now. The cry. Right outside, he grabbed the flashlight and stepped into the yard. "Shadow?" he called. Nothing. He scanned the alley. No cat, just the dumpster. And the plate, still untouched. He turned around and stopped. On the wall, scratched deep into the wood, were claw marks. Fresh. Not just 3, but dozens. As if something had tried to dig its way in. He stumbled back, heart racing. "Stop this," he begged. "Please, just stop." The wind blew, lifting a plastic bag into the air. It landed on the steps beside him. Then, faint. A purr. He turned slowly. Shadow was there, sitting. perfectly still. "You're real," Grayson said. "You're actually real." Shadow blinked, slow, then stood. But as he stepped forward, he vanished. Just like that. Grayson dropped to the ground. The cuts on his arms began to sting again. But this time, he didn't move. He just stared at the spot where the cat had been. "Why won't you leave me alone?" he whispered. And from somewhere, maybe the alley, maybe inside his mind, the answer came. "You saw me," it seemed to say. "And now you can't unsee." He closed his eyes. And in the dark, the crying returned. Only this time, it didn't sound like a cat anymore. Grayson hadn't slept in 2 days. The scratching had returned. Not on the walls this time, but inside his head. And the crying? It didn't stop anymore. It followed him from room to room. Even when he left the house, it stayed behind his eyes. He was breaking. So he did something he hadn't done in years. He asked for help. Mrs. Hallie was sweeping leaves when he approached. Her hands paused mid-sweep. "You don't look good," she said flatly. He nodded. "I need to find someone. An old woman who used to live on this street. Name was May?" She dropped her broom. Her face changed. "May," she whispered. "You want her?" "I think she knows something about the cat." Mrs. Hallie stared at him, then nodded once. "She moved out 6 years ago. Lives near the woods now. Be careful." Grayson found the house just before sundown. It sat alone, surrounded by trees. No lights, just a rocking chair on the porch, gently moving in the breeze. He knocked. The door creaked open. A frail voice called out, "Come in, Grayson." He froze. "I didn't tell you my name." "I know," she said. "Sit down." She sat near the fireplace, skin wrinkled like folded paper. Her gray hair was tied back, eyes sharp as nails. "You've seen him," she said. Grayson nodded. "Shadow." "Not his name," she said. He frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at him carefully. "That cat isn't what you think." Grayson leaned forward. "Then tell me what he is." "Because he's in my head. On my skin. In my dreams." She reached into a drawer and pulled out a small photo. It showed a boy, maybe 10 years old, holding a kitten. Both smiling. The boy looked familiar. "That's my grandson," she said. "And the kitten, that's Shadow." He stared at the photo. "You're saying he's the same cat?" "He was cursed," she whispered. "Long ago." Grayson laughed once, bitter. "I'm not here for stories." But she didn't smile. "He used to be human," she said. "And now he waits." Grayson swallowed. "Waits for what?" She stood slowly, walking toward the window. "For someone to see him. Not just look. See." Grayson felt cold. "I saw him. That night. I touched him." "That was enough," she said. "Now you carry it." "The curse?" She nodded. "You can't undo it, but you can choose." Grayson's voice shook. "Choose what?" She turned to him. "To let go of your anger. Or let it take you too." He stood up. "This is insane." May sighed. "He was my grandson. He was kind. But the world wasn't. He died in silence. They left him. All he had was that kitten. Then one day the kitten came back alone." Grayson's breath caught. "You think he became the cat?" "No, I know he did." She handed him a small rusted bell. "This was his. Before. It may help." He took it, hands trembling. "What do I do with it?" "When the time comes, you'll know." The bell lay cracked in his palm. Grayson stared at it, unsure if it meant the end. Or just another beginning. He hadn't heard the crying in days. The scratches stopped too. But the silence, it wasn't peace. It was waiting. And he was tired of waiting. That morning he walked to the alley. No coat, no flashlight. Just the broken bell in his hand and something heavy in his chest. He sat on the steps, where Shadow once waited, where everything had started. His voice came out soft. "Come." On, he said. I know you're still here. No wind. No cry. Nothing. Grayson looked up at the sky. I don't deserve peace. I know that. But maybe you do. He set the bell on the ground. His fingers lingered on it just for a second. I'm sorry, he whispered. His throat tightened. He hadn't cried in years. But there, in the same place he once threw a bottle, he dropped to his knees and wept, not because of the curse, not because of the cat, because of himself. All the years of anger, bitterness, blame. It poured out like floodwater. No one was around. Just him, the silence, and a memory shaped like a cat. I was cruel. He choked. I didn't even know why. Still. No sound. No movement. He stayed on the ground, hands shaking, breath shallow. Then, the air shifted. Not a wind. Not a sound. Just change. He lifted his head. Shadow stood at the alley's edge. But it wasn't quite him. His fur shimmered faintly, like smoke in sunlight. His eyes still glowed, but gentler now. His body flickered between what he was and what he had once been. A broken boy with tired eyes and an open heart. Grayson stood slowly, stunned. Shadow? The cat stepped forward. Each paw print left a faint glow on the ground. You came back, Grayson breathed. Why? The cat didn't speak. He didn't need to. Grayson took a step forward, heart pounding. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. Shadow stopped. In front of him, close now, so close. Grayson dropped to one knee, tears still falling. I see you, he whispered. I really see you. The bell on the ground began to hum, soft, warm. Shadow looked up, then turned around. He walked to the center of the alley, the very place where Grayson once tried to drive him away, and sat down. A light began to rise from beneath him. Pale at first, then brighter. Grayson shielded his eyes, and then it happened. Shadow lifted his head toward the sky as the light wrapped around him. His shape shimmered, cat and boy, both at once. And then, slowly, he faded. Not like a ghost, like a soul being set free. Grayson didn't move. He didn't speak. He just watched. And when the last flicker of light disappeared, the alley glowed. Not from lamps. Not from sun. But from something else. Something clean, whole. The scratches on Grayson's arms faded into pale lines. The weight in his chest eased, just a little. And the silence. It felt right. He sat back down. Still alone. But not empty. For the first time. He didn't feel cursed. He felt human. A week passed. The neighbors noticed Grayson had changed. He spoke softer now. Walked slower. He left food outside sometimes. Not because he had to, but because he remembered. Mrs. Halley passed him once and said, You look lighter. He smiled. I feel it. That night, Grayson sat on the porch, the bell in his hand. It didn't ring, didn't need to, but it still glowed. Faint, just enough to see. And somewhere, deep in the stillness, he swore he heard it. A soft, distant purr, not haunting, but home.